players down at lower with you. Didn't end up panning out. One each, and just a slow contact round from Heroic towards ramp yields big results.
Refresh, very important player for Heroic. All the pieces, they really have a completed puzzle here in Heroic. And again, you can just the way they play Counter-Strike from player to player, the way they push in. I suppose there's like an area you take for granted, like, you know, there's a scenario where it doesn't make sense to do X, so you expect Y or Z, but they will do X. And when you're in that place, I think Mousebots are there as well at the moment. When you're in that area where you can take liberties, it really gives you such an extra gear versus your opponents.
Yeah, it feels like the execution will always be there when Heroic needs it to be, so play calls just always seem to be right. That said, early push towards Hell, wrapped around Acadian, finding the head onto Dupree. Yeah, and I think, you know, for this Heroic squad, they've got so much depth. I've spent a lot of time in the analyst desk over the past few days, weeks rather, I guess, James, and talk a lot about some of the other players on Heroic, but Refresh is a guy who gets given a lot of responsibility on their, especially on their T sides.
Yeah.
A lot of times either solely sending the misdirect with himself or leading an entry somewhere. Doesn't always pop off statistically, but...
Did they throw that bomb on the floor on purpose to
Bait the
give a
sound
sound
out.
cue towards
Oh, yeah.
B on the ramp? I'm thinking maybe they did.
Yeah,
So they've got position towards heaven.
Little subtle things like that are so cool.
Yeah. So for those of you at home, if you drop a rifle on the floor or a pistol, it makes the same sound as the bomb dropping on the floor as well. So sometimes you might see like a lurker on Banana of Inferno drop a weapon on the floor to suggest it's the bomb when the real push is heading towards the other bomb site. You know, the pros will be more used to it, so it won't be too common that it works in a professional match, but something for you to do at home. You heard the sound there.
Yeah, there's definitely a point when it just becomes so obvious. It's like, ha,
Yeah.
not falling for that.
It's that one or the one step you make in a lurker position.
Oh, yeah.
That's it was by accident. But
That's more effective because you think, oh, man, there must be 4 guys grouped up right here.
Yep.
Who's the idiot that just made a step? But, I mean, the Astralis was already on their way towards lower, and that may have just convinced them for sure. So they like to save those, you know, a couple of Deagles, UMP, a Scout, sets of armor. So still not in a buy situation here for Astralis, but honestly, coming into Nuke at least, both of these teams extremely comfortable on this map. Astralis almost always picking Nuke, at least in the most recent series. But, you know, kind of as the casters, or sorry, excuse me, the analysts alluded to over on the desk, this last time these two teams met, it was a very one-sided Heroic rout. So for Astralis, this is, you expect to see maybe some changes. You expect to see maybe some refined gameplay. Bubsky getting tested here.
Oh, what?
Gets the first.
Glaive with a scout no-scope at such range. That's not the opening kill you normally see, and this push isn't really going the way Heroic might have liked, and they're not going to be able to get rid of those rifles either. They will be collected at some point, I imagine, by Astralis, if they win this round at least, because we see the rotation is coming in from the ramp. So there's an opportunity for Heroic, but my God, this is a bad situation for them.
Glaive with a shotgun scout.
Interestingly, it doesn't seem to be clear to Astralis where exactly the remainder of Heroic are, as you see Zipex looking towards the B bomb site and Magisk and Secret, but both Heroic players are on the A bomb site. Now, they have to assume that somebody's in heaven, so this becomes a very strange situation where Astralis will probably clear out some map control while Heroic are waiting. Cadian's taking himself a nice angle, but with 40 seconds left, how long can he hold this for? If they play chicken and Astralis don't push first, then Heroic are probably going to lose this round, because they'll be contained on the A bomb site. But there is the patience paying off for Cadian. Again, his game sense has just gone through the roof over these years. Great pacing from the team, picking up some utility on the way. Some fishing from Magisk. And where's the final player now? Looking to finish him off. 15 seconds, and Cadian will deliver. However, we can see there's low HP on both players, and Zipex is creeping in through main. Or mini if you're American. This would be quite the hold from Heroic, making it real hard Oh, Cadian, he hasn't seen him, but the gun was spotted.
Oh.
That is a fantastic hold from them.
Oh, yeah. I mean, so smart from Heroic. You have a man disadvantage, Astralis, you know, inferior weaponry, so you want to take some fights, but can't be too obvious about it. You can't necessarily have the luxury of faking a plant and holding, you know, one angle because you've got Heaven, you've got Main, you've got Lobby to worry about. Any of those flanks are open to you, and you've only got 2 players to watch these angles. Cadian wisely just biding his time over there in Lobby, holding for the inevitable flank. Gets the free one, and then the 2v2 was so much easier to manage at that point. As you know, there's nobody coming from Lobby at least. So it's just a matter of isolating both those fights. Heroic take 3. And this will be the first bye here for Astralis. Well, I guess the second round, you know, if you're going to lose a couple logs, we'll call that one as well.
Feels like we've had a lot of rounds already.
Yeah.
We really haven't. The game's barely started, but it doesn't necessarily feel that way. Nice to see Cadian energetic. And again, those rounds are great examples of how, like, the depth of Heroic strategically and working together as well, to be able to just hold the line like that. And against a team like Astralis and catch them up, yeah, they're on the eco and so on, but they've basically outsmarted them in that respect.
I think that's honestly when they're at their strongest, is when you see Cadian, and he's a guy that gets highlighted constantly because his rating is high, and he is the IGL of the team, you know, juggling multiple roles. He's got an op and handle at a time. But beyond that, I mean, just his confidence in his decision-making is what's so fun to watch come through in those 2vx situations, because you know he's sitting there communicating his ass off to his teammates. You know, there's a lot that's going on in those situations and a lot that's left unsaid. And that's where, like, team chemistry and experience with playing with your teammates really starts to shine. And, I mean, these are Astralis players when you're – it's not quite the face-it pug that we were talking about at the beginning of this game. Like, these are world-class opponents. They know the right move. And yet Cadian just so sure of his next step.
He's played the game for this long, right? And if I do a search for Cadian on the Steam market, I only get stickers from 1 major. So despite how long his career has been, there's so much further to go at this point. It's super awesome. I'm definitely
he's definitely paid his dues, you know?
Yeah.
Time.
It's awesome. In a weird way, I'm proud of him, like I'm his dad or something. It's yeah, I know we're talking all Heroic, but it's just like, I don't know, I just can't get over his you know, for how many years ago I first met him, from watching him play in our offices and stuff. It's just it's really awesome. I really hope they do a profile on Cadian for this major.
It was cool for me because, you know, I think one of the last times that I was cast in Counter-Strike, and this is years ago now, he was in ESEA Premier, you know, MDL, kind of like tier 2 EU scene, and he came over to America, came over to California, and played at I guess MDL Global Challenge and won it. I got to interview him and hand him his trophy, and it was really cool to come back after all this time and see him basically at the top of Counter-Strike. I mean, that is so cool to me that, you know, stay on the grind, man.
Absolutely. He's the Great White Hope. That's what he is, the Great White Hope. He's the GWH. And then there's the man Zipex.
Legend in his own right.
Absolutely. He is he's the man you can all learn from. Watch the demos. I still have I have a Zipex tribute gun. What's it? It's the yellow M4A4.
Buzzkill?
And it's, yeah, I think. And it's called the Clutch Minister. And it has Zipex stickers from different majors.
Ooh.
On it. And it looks sublime.
Fire.
I must say. It looks sublime. But I want to see more Cadian stickers in the game. I think I have an Oscar sticker on my AWP Lightning at the back, which is actually good because the lightning kind of goes through where his name is. So it's quite nice. But I'm kind of leaning towards putting a Cadian sticker on there as well. Somewhere.
Your skin game is, as the kids might describe it, off the chain. Fire skins, dude. I was going through your inventory when we were playing the other night and was impressed.
I've got rid of a lot of stuff.
Fair.
But there is an aesthetic game going on. CT side is red.
Yeah, and I guess kind of the segue that I was going to lead into there, where you flipped off the skins. But some of these pros, man, they need to hire a skin advisor, somebody to fix that. See, that's a beautiful. Oh man, look at that
Marble fade.
Yeah.
Just clean things up a bit.
Yes.
Well then, let's see what this first buy round is going to look like for both squads. No sniper rifles this time, no scouts, no scopes from Glaive, jiggling from Cade, and he's like, whoop, I'm out of there. He loses only 11 HP, lucky to get away with that one. I suppose he was shot through the glass. Again, you can, if you're in the middle of the rafters on A, you can throw a HE into that position. You see it, I'm not sure if you actually see it, that particular one, but you do see grenades fly up there. Anyway, Astralis have the rifles, but they don't have much in the name of utility. At this point, minute 14, they've got 1 flash and 2 smokes. Glaive heading forwards now. And speaking of the proactiveness and taking liberties, he's certainly doing that here.
That's a big read right here. Knows that they're not outside, presses the info, and this is the perfect timing to at least let his teammates know that this is not going the way of outside, not towards yard. So upper got to be hitting in a moment here.
Oh! One problem is having no grenades. Bobsky with a multi-frag looking for a third. The push is coming in towards A, and maybe A is the ultimate place now with those frags. Molly towards the high ground. We'll see how close Glaive is on the flank. Zipex, well, there's how close Glaive is. Makes it a 3 versus 2 immediately. He's down. Has an inferior angle to Dupree, leaving Refresh in a 1 versus 3. Trying to isolate the fight here. The first one to Zipex, trying to go for the transfer as well. Some damage, but no frags. And indeed, the information was there for Astralis. Despite getting popped on the entry to the site, they managed to turn around.
Yeah, they're able to keep 3 weapons as well. Beautiful round from Astralis. I mean, this starts really with that read from Glaive outside. You know, pressing up towards red box at yard, and Bubsky able to grab 2 on the hold, even deal some damage to the third. Consider, I think it was Magic's getting destroyed on the entry. Yeah, it was a nice two-piece there from him. Makes this retake possible, and it was just Dupree and Glaive coming back through lobby to clean things up. And I think Astralis is going to need that throughout this game. Heroic does like to throw the smokes outside, take control of yard, chill out for a second, re-hit it. And they're very